Hey guys, today I'm going to be unboxing the HGIBO Reginlaze Julia. So it's kind of a stupid name, admittedly, but it looks like a really cool kit, and so I'm really looking forward to this one. Just want to say thank you, as always, to MindFenix Hobby Store for sending me this kit to share with you guys. Pretty cool box art as well. The box art for a lot of the Armed Blood Orphans kits has been very predictable, and this one, I mean, it doesn't really seem like the most creative thing, but it's just a little bit different. It's just kind of like flying through space there. So I like that. I don't know, maybe it's not that different, but I do really like the box art of this. I think it's pretty cool for sure. There in the background we can see Eox, Reginlaze there. A lot of people really not liking him as a character, I suppose, and it's kind of makes sense. He's kind of an idiot, but yeah, there's that, which was a P-Bandai kit there in the background, and Julia doing her very best to keep her stoic face while she remains a character in the series that is supposed to be important, or at least she's often portrayed whenever she's on screen as like a character of some importance, but I really don't know what she is like useful for in the series, or she's just another character that I think that the writing around her character has not been very good, and really giving her too much of a point to the series. She's just kind of there for someone for Masked Man Vidar to talk to at times when he wants to talk about his evil plans and stuff, and she's there to just pilot mobile suits and not really get too much of anything done. But you know, who knows, maybe in the final few episodes she'll play a little bit more of an important role. I actually have a sneaking suspicion that she's actually going to end up helping Tekkaden and going against whatever enemy that she's going to end up fighting alongside Tekkaden. I don't know, that's just kind of the suspicion that I have about her, just based on how her character's been portrayed so far, that she's not really a bad person. She's just like blindly following orders and stuff like that, just because that's kind of how her character is. But I think she might actually change sides or something later. I don't know. We'll see. Alright, so here on the side we've got just the box art there once again. On the bottom we can see there's what the kit is going to look like when it's all snapped up, and this does come with a base, so that's nice. I've seen that the base though does have a little bit of a miscoloration though, which is a little bit disappointing. We'll talk more about that in the review. And then we can see its main weapons are just those two swords there. Really pretty interesting design. This is definitely the most unique take on the Graze or Reginlaze. I know the Reginlaze is sort of more like a Graze 2 in essence, but this is definitely the most unique version of it. So here we can see just some action shots here. We've got that sword. It does have like a straight form and then like a bent form, like that. So it's actually called the Julian sword apparently, and then it has the sword mode and the whip mode. So that's the two modes there, and I believe that's like a little bit softer plastic. Here's like the best view of this kit. This kit looks really good from the back with all those thrusters everywhere. Looks really awesome. I've seen an image online, I think my good buddy Justinius Builds shared on Facebook. I think I saw that someone had painted up this kit in like Advance of Zeta colors, and it looked really good in Advance of Zeta colors, so I might have to kind of take that idea. It also has blades on the feet, and it also has just like regular legs that just kind of fold out from like these kind of extra parts there on the back of the legs, which look kind of silly. It just has like those claws. It also has these like really weird like claw hook hands, which are strange, but I think I've seen that actually you do have the regular hands are actually in there. They're just extra parts that you're not supposed to use. So I think it's here. It says you can also use the regular hands, but maybe you have to steal them from the other kit. Maybe they're not actually included on the runner, but I don't know. We'll see. So you can actually use regular hands with this kit, and then other option set parts as well. Option set parts, yeah. Anyway, 1,400 yen. For the price tag for this, let's get into the box, because I'm just very tired at the moment. Actually, if you couldn't tell by my bumbling more than usual in this episode. Here we got some stickers there, a few different parts for the weapons, some frame parts it looks like, some dark green. In my experience, Bandai's dark green doesn't do so well when you're removing the nubs. So remove these nubs very carefully. People ask me quite a lot what to do about like the little white marks left when you're like cutting off like the nubs. Sometimes the part gets a little bit of a white stress mark. This dark green plastic gets that more than usual, so just be a little bit careful with that. The best way is just to sand it. Sand the nubs, cut the nub far enough away, and then just file it and sand it slowly. And here we can see there's the parts for that little base, and then the more frame parts there. Alright, so let's get into our instruction manual. Just same with usual, we got the box art there on the top. On the bottom, we got the mobile suit and Julius there, so there's our information about the mobile suit there in English, and then about the pilot there in English as well. So pretty cool stuff there. Here on the back we can see information about the Julian sword. There, the frame, the silhouette. Yeah, the sword's pretty much its only weapon. And then here is the color guide, once again like on the outside of the box, just showing off some option sets. And then color guide there in Japanese and English. If we open it up to our parts list, we can see it looks like runners A and B are going to be from the original Reginlaze. We can see a lot of X's on there, parts that are not going to be used. But then everything else after that looks to be new. So the construction is going to start off with the torso, as usual, and then onto the head with this this mustache part there. Really reminds me of the turn A Gundam. I know it's like really not anything like that at all, but just the fact that it kind of has this sort of like mustachy kind of look. I know some people have mentioned it also looks a little bit more like a dragon. It struck me a little bit though as like a turn A mustache kind of look there. But anyway, onto the arms, finishing up the upper body, and then onto the legs, and then onto our color page. We're going to be building up the skirt armor. The waist looks pretty interesting for sure. And then the base, and then putting that all together, and then the weapons. So it's got a kind of similar thing with the Reginlaze where it's just got the part that attaches onto the back of the arm, and the sword just plugs into that. So here's how to transform it into just the regular standing mode. It definitely looks really derpy with those short legs on there, but you actually have to do a little bit more parts forming than I imagined. So you have to like kind of take some parts off and then put some parts back on, and it's all a little bit more complicated than I thought, which is kind of unfortunate for something that looks kind of stupid. Let's get a look at the parts. So starting off with our foil sticker sheet, it's really quite small, which is good to see. I'm guessing these yellow stickers there, yellow and gray stickers going on the head, this yellow sticker going on the center of the backpack, like pretty much all the other different versions of the grays and Reginlaze. And then we have these two other larger gray stickers, not exactly sure where those are going, but not really too bad in terms of the overall sticker count. Then our standard PC002 for our polycaps, just in regular standard gray color. And BA0 for our base. So this is just this kind of base that everything's all molded here. You just cut it apart, snap it together. I really like this base because it's really simple but really quite functional. Just molded in black here, but there is going to be an extension piece that we're going to have to use to give us a little bit more height, which is not in black. So starting off here with runner A2, this runner is actually from the original Reginlaze. So there are going to be a few parts on this kit, a few parts from this rotor that we're actually going to be using for this kit, but a lot of these are going to actually be leftover parts. So, which is not bad because a lot of these like larger armor parts, if you have those left over, those are actually parts that could be really quite useful for doing some like kit bashing and stuff like that if you wanted to do that later. And then runner B is just, again, just a kind of standard neutral gray color. This runner is also from the original Reginlaze, so this is a whole bunch of the inner frame. A lot of this we're also not going to be using. And one thing I just want to also point out is that up in this section here, you'll notice here we have the original hands for the Reginlaze. Now, if you saw on the outside of the box, it was saying that if you want to use those hands, then you have to take them from the original Reginlaze kit, but as you can see, they're actually included in this kit, so it's a little bit strange, but you do have those just regular hands. They're pretty terrible looking, ugly hands. I hate those hands, but you do have them included in this kit if you do want to use them. Alright, then we have runner C1. Now we're getting into all the massive new parts for this kit. So this is all just, again, in standard gray color. It's all new parts for the inner frame, for the blades, for the feet, and a couple of new white parts there. So that's for like the white ribbons underneath the torso and the white part in the center of the back, where this yellow sticker is going to be covering over that. And then runner C2 is actually quite interesting, as here we just have all these parts in white. We have this one piece here which is on the same color as C1 in this like kind of standard gray color, and then this lighter gray color here for the parts for the Julian sword. So we have two just in the sword mode and two in the whip mode, and these are molded in like a softer plastic. I think the sword mode didn't need to be in a softer plastic, which is kind of strange. I think they could have made that in just a regular plastic, but I think they want to just mold these all together just in one go, so they made them in this softer plastic. So we'll see how that holds up in the review. I usually don't really think that's very good, but for something like this, I guess you kind of have to do like that. Then we got runner D1, just a whole bunch of parts here in dark green, so new parts for the head, torso, skirts, legs, arms, all of that here on runner D1. And then finally D2, so some of the larger parts for like the binders on the legs, and I think these are going on the shoulders there as well. I think that's probably the back skirt. And then here is that extension piece for the base. So the base is molded in black, and then you'll have to use this extension piece, which is in dark green, which is going to be very distracting, I think, unfortunately. So there's one thing I just want to quickly mention about the base is that one thing that I thought is like, oh, well, why couldn't they have just molded the base in gray, and then on one of these runners where we have just gray parts, just add that extra piece onto there so that the extra extension part would be in gray, and then that would match the gray of the base. But if we see here on the C1 and C2 runner, these are where the new gray parts are. They couldn't mold it onto the B runner because that's just already full, but the C1 and C2 are just kind of already full, so there's not really anywhere to add that part onto this runner without just increasing the whole size of the runner. So that's unfortunate. And one thing I did also want to point out here as well is that these whites are actually different color whites. It's probably going to be really, really hard to tell on camera, but this white is like a really pure white. This white here for these parts is a little bit off-white. It's very, very slightly cream colored. I doubt that anyone's really going to notice that once it's actually on the kit, but it is definitely a little bit slightly different white color. Alright, so that's it for unboxing the HG Reginlaze Julia. Again, sorry this video was probably a little bit more bumbly than usual. Very tired, it's very late at the moment, but want to get this unboxed so that tomorrow I can get this snapped up and reviewed for you guys as soon as possible. Because I know you guys have been patiently waiting on this review. I've been patiently waiting to get this kit reviewed for you guys because I'm actually really interested in seeing what this kit's like. So really interested, anxious to get this snapped up tomorrow and get a chance to review it there for you guys. So until then, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the review. Bye bye.